Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Change is Hard, Y'all. I'm Leslie.
I'm Erin.
Oh, I'm Shai. Hey.
So, this is a completely different type of episode. What we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about how this venture started. And this is how it started.
So here's the thing.
Erin, Shai, and I spent many hot, sometimes cold, sometimes Sundays in Charleston protesting against these complete losers who would hold a giant Confederate flag. And so we stood out there in opposition to them. So what started as what we started as is fellow protesters, and then we became friends, and then we started a writing group, and we'd sit around at my kitchen table for sometimes 5 hours, sometimes 7 hours, and things kept progressing, and we started talking about Erin's background and the high control religion she came from, and things eventually just got out of hand, and now we have a podcast.
Here we are.
And we started a podcast, and we've done quite a few episodes, and they've all just been fabulous. We've really had great guests. We've had great questions. We've had great comments, analysis. We had the psychologist who helped us with change. And so that is our contribution to the world. Is this group of podcasts that we've done.
Yeah. We did this and goodbye. No. No. This is more like really good friends talking and then hitting the record button is kind of like how I think about it, and had some really cool people be willing to share some of their life with us, which I think is just very generous and brave and cool of them to do, and has been personally very helpful to me in learning how people grow and process and get to the point where they can then reach back and share that with other people. Because that is not my background. Excuse me. This is hummus stuck in my throat or something. I'm not getting emotional. I'm not getting emotional.
We also eat. So.
No. It's not in my background to like delve deeply into psychology or emotions or trauma, or it's all, if you're not gonna stick to the party line of I'll just pray about it and go on with my life, even though if I'm living it in quiet desperation. So this has been like such a breath of fresh air to be part of this.
Aww.
So
I mean, when Leslie and I first started talking about how much we thought your story needed to be out in the world, it was primarily about how that might be helpful to other people. It had not even crossed my mind that it might be helpful for you. I'm glad.
It has been. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's been helpful for all of us. I've learned so much, and just to know that there are people in the world who are doing really hard things and want to share that with other people who might want to do hard things, it's a good feeling. I mean, it's just a really positive. As Shai keeps saying, when I ask, what are we supposed to, how do we help the world that's out there? It's so hard to know how we can change some of the things that are really hard out there now. And she's like, just the community we've created can do that. Right? Didn't you say that, Shai?
I mean, it sounds like something I would say.
She's done that to me too. Maybe I don't recall saying it, but it was so profound. Shai, are you serious? You don't remember this?
It was some nonsense like that.
Well, as you'll recall, Erin, during all of our years of being out there with those horrible people who hold the Confederate flag, and there's a few people that go by and support them, and we'd talk about what to do or how to react or whatever. And we started saying, well, what would Shai say? Mm-hmm. And so that became our...
Well, Shai says...
Yeah.
Insert, fill the blank.
Well, we trusted Shai because she stood with the big, giant American flag, and she just emanated... Is that a word? Mm-hmm. Emanated peace and love, and it really gave off these wonderful vibes to all the people going by. And Erin and I were more the ones that were just like, you...
Yeah, bleep. Yeah, Shai was the approachable one. If people had questions and were like, what's going on here? They would ask Shai. Yeah. Well, I'm very glad she was there to answer.
I think I showed up from sort of a different place. I mean, Leslie characterizes that endeavor as being in opposition to the people who were flying a giant, and by giant, I mean ginormous, huge Confederate flag right next to the monument on the Charleston Battery that is in honor of Confederate soldiers. Anyway, it was a whole sort of multimedia I don't know, stance about how important it is to honor the Confederacy and how much of a shame it is. There's not. There's those just like, it's just ugly. But I don't think I ever showed up with the intention to oppose that. Like, I don't see how I could. How could I possibly break in to that mindset? It just didn't. It seemed like an impossibility. But the thing that I could do was I could put myself physically in the area and do a counter message that was visibly obvious to anyone who came along and encountered that giant symbol. And so I was sort of never really there to counter protest exactly. I was more there to sort of counter message. With the idea being that anyone who came across that scene, if it was scary for them or angering for them or, some other really terrible feeling, they wouldn't have to do that all by themselves. Like, there would be visible evidence that symbol wasn't the only symbol in the visual field. It wasn't it didn't go unopposed. So it was more about having an interest in messaging to people who might be going through this like really weird, really hard, out of nowhere experience where they're just, trying to walk along, that they weren't alone. And that kind of comes back to it. We were just talking about how the theme of the podcast has kind of been, none of this happens alone. You don't walk down the street alone optimally, and you don't change alone, and you don't it kind of is about community. I mean, I guess I agree with me.
I agree with me
on that. That counter protesting is important, but my particular interest is in counter messaging and like creating community or connection or at least space for something other than what is attempting to shove itself down my throat. And it's just a little bit different of an orientation. And so that's, what I wander around with. And then we do this podcast and wind up talking for a long time, like with the Rough and Tumble, about the theme music of the podcast and about just like, you're not going alone if you decide to do a big change, for instance. Also, you're not going alone. That just sort of, we keep coming back and hitting that, which I didn't expect to happen when I emailed Scott and Mallory and said, can we please use your music? I think it's going to be like perfect, but it's been
spot on.
Yeah.
It's kind of been a through line.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Through. And that's what we've talked with so many people about. And that's what we're hoping to achieve, is that someone out there who might be listening to the podcast will think, oh, I'm not the only one who's gone through that. She did that, and she was able to do this or find this. And that's one of the important things about doing it.
It's like, not only the title is obvious, right? Change is hard. Everyone's like, well, yeah, duh. But it's like, yes, it's hard, and it doesn't have to end there. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be hard, and we want to acknowledge it's gonna be hard, but like, there are other people you can reach out to, and that's the optimal way for change to happen, is if you have that support, the change can be deep and lasting and fulfilling and all these other things that I would not have thought before going through it. So it's just been, again, very refreshing to have that reminder and that learning experience, and like see it repetitively within other people. It's like Bonnie saying, this is, no change happens overnight. It's very hard. It's very hard.
And
so
slow.
Everyone understand
like,
this. It's very hard and slow. Yes.
Slow.
And then rough and tumble, and it just is all has built on each other and kind of reinforced that messaging in a very helpful way for my brain.
It's not an overnight thing. It's not one thing that helps you.
And it's not an alone thing, even when it feels like it's an alone thing.
Yeah.
It's reasonable to take heart that it isn't actually alone.
Well, we started, Shai and I got this going because Erin was telling us her backstory about being in this community, and we both pointed a finger at her and said, well, that's a podcast. And again, then things just got out of control. We bought microphones and we bought these headsets and all this equipment. And Shai started looking at YouTube videos to figure out how to do all the audio, which hasn't been that easy. Since we don't have ads, we don't have a big production team.
Nope.
We don't have credits at the end listing all our audio editor and creative producer.
Yeah, Shai and Shai and Shai and also Shai. Yeah,
Shai did it. So thank you, Shai, for doing that.
Yeah, well, sure.
Thank you for being the magic.
There was some real suboptimal stuff in there, kids.
Well,
sorry about that.
No, you worked hard to make it, and you never know with how it's going to go. Yeah. So here's what we want to get out there, unless y'all want to add something else. What I want to get out, this is more practical stuff, is if you liked any of the episodes or you want to go back and listen to the episodes, download them. If you download them to your device, then you've got them for as long as you want them. Mm-hmm. So just be sure to download whatever you want and continue to do that. And so you have it, and it'll be with you whenever you need it, or if you'd like to share it with someone. Anyone have any other final thoughts?
I think besides, being able to share this if you think it might be helpful to someone in your life, but also hopefully people come away with, like, we've tried to be very intentional with these conversations and like understanding of where people are at or coming from or might be going. But I've obviously gone through a lot of things that have kind of given me a particular angle on the religion I grew up in, but I'm not out here trying to say, like, you need to leave your religion and abandon everything about your faith. It's awful and evil. Like, that's actually not what I'm saying. So I think it is very possible for people to retain key elements of their faith that are life-giving and beautiful and helpful to themselves and to the world, and be a person of faith that builds their community. That is not only possible, but apparent to me in some of the people that we've interviewed on this show.
Yeah, sure. Pastor Dixon comes to mind.
Exactly. Sure. So, like, your faith can inform the way you live your life and the effect you have on other people in just an absolutely jaw-dropping, beautiful way. And so I am not here to say you need to abandon all belief systems and everything you think about God. And no, I'm merely someone saying the way that this particular religion was enacted was harmful, was destructive, was incorrect was not healthy. And so there are other ways of being a person of faith. There are other ways to do it that help people. That's what I want someone to take away, at least from what I had to say. So
thank you, Erin.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that. I agree. Shai?
Me too. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yes. Well, I knew you'd agree with that. I just wondered if you had any final words of wisdom.
Nope, Erin, you missed the whole point of the entire endeavor. Yes, I agree with that.
too.
You know who I thought Donna did a really nice job.
Yes.
Of saying that at her wrap up, that it's whatever religion or belief system or experience or whatever it is, like what we're trying to do is be open-hearted, kind people. So that's kind of what we're at. That's the goal. So how do you get there? Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, guys, we're going to go back to being a writing group and
we'll be at the kitchen table and eating.
At the kitchen table, eating hummus and other such things. And we'll still have the email address just in case anyone wants to say anything to us. changeishardyall, without the apostrophe, at gmail.com. And we've enjoyed it, and we appreciate anyone who's listened. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
You're not going